Welcome back to the quick intro to Python 3 for AWS Automation Engineers course. In today's video, we'll describe how to work with EBS Snapshots in Python using Boto3 library. To be able to repeat our examples, you'll need Python 3 interpreter, AWS CLI tools, Boto3 module and IDE. We'll be using Cloud9 IDE in this video, but you can use your local IDE such as Visual Studio Code, IntelliJ IDEA, or even text editor. Every EBS volume can be backed up and persisted in the form of EBS snapshots to the Amazon Simple Storage Service, Amazon S3. EBS snapshots are a point-in-time copy of your data and can be used to enable disaster recovery, migrate data across AWS regions and accounts, and improve backup compliance. Each EBS volume snapshot stores incremental changes of your EBS volume data. This means that the first snapshot contains a complete copy of your EBS volume data, the next one will contain only changes that have been made from the last snapshot operation, and so on. You can create as many EBS volumes from any of your EBS snapshots as you'd like. One or more snapshots can form an Amazon Machine Image, or AMIs. An Amazon Machine Image is a supported and maintained image that provides the information required to launch an instance. In this video, we'll focus on snapshot operations only and cover AMIs in the next video. EBS snapshots are a part of AWS EC2 service, so you need to this service APIs to manage them. To simplify this job for Python developers, AWS maintains the Boto3 library, which allows us to interact with AWS Services APIs by simply calling required functions. The Boto3 library provides us with two ways to access APIs. The client that allows you to access the low-level API data. By using client, you're getting API response in the form of JSON structure. And the resource that allows you to use AWS services in a higher-level object-oriented way. For example, to get a volume information, you need to access volumes class attributes. We already covered this topic in depth in the quick intro to Boto3 clients and resources video, so we'll not stay here for a long time. As soon as we instantiated the EC2 client or resource, we can create a snapshot from an EBS volume. To create the EBS snapshot from any EBS volume, you can use the createSnapshot method of the EC2 resource. The EBS volume snapshot is a long-running operation, and the code above only launches the snapshot operation that will continue in the background. If you need to wait for the operation completion, you must use the waiter that waits until the snapshot operation is completed. This method calls EC2 waiter snapshot completed wait method, which calls the EC2 client described snapshots API call every 15 seconds until a successful state is returned or dies after 40 attempts with an error. In the same way, as for listing the EBS volumes, you can use snapshots resource collections all method to get a list of all snapshots of EBS volumes available in your region. Attention! The all method returns snapshots owned by you and all publicly available snapshots. It's more than 17,000 snapshots. So, instead of using the all method, we strongly recommend you use the filter method to reduce the amount of returned records. The snapshots collection of the EC2 resource has the filter method, which acts in the same way the filter method we used for filtering EBS volumes. Let's filter snapshots that belong to the current AWS account in US East 2 region only. That's possible by using the owner ID's argument in the filter method, which accepts a list of accounts. We're using AWS Security Token Service API client to get current account ID from the Amazon STS service and the for loop to print snapshot IDs and their related volume IDs. Sometimes, you might need to find EBS snapshots for one or many EBS volumes by their ID. In that case, you need to use the same filter method and specify the filter's argument. As soon as you get the filter operation results, you can use the regular for loop to iterate over the results. The last common filtering operation example we need to review is showing how to filter EBS snapshots by AWS tags. Here we're using the same filters argument, but instead of volume ID, we're using the tag :name value for the name key. This means we'll filter snapshots where the tag name values equal the values we've provided in the lists. In our example, this list contains only one value, hands on cloud EBS snapshot. Like describing the EBS volumes, you can get all information about any snapshot by calling the described snapshots method of the EC2 client. The described snapshots method takes the same arguments as the filter method. Let's use the snapshot IDs argument that accepts list of snapshot IDs to get an information about the specific snapshot. As a reminder, we're using EC2 client here to get a JSON formatted response from EC2 service, which contains all available information about one or several snapshots. We process this type if response as a regular Python dictionary. The JSON datetime serializer method should be already familiar for you. This method covers datetime objects and return JSON response to formatted string, so we could print it. The JSON dumps method allows us to print response in formatted way with indentations. To delete an EBS volume snapshot, you need to use the delete method of the snapshot class of EC2 resource. In this example, we're deleting EBS snapshot, which has specific snapshot ID. When you delete the EBS volume snapshot, only the data not needed for any other snapshot of the same volume is removed. So, even if you delete the intermediate snapshot of the volume, all other snapshots of the same volume will still have access to the information required to restore the EBS volume. Now, let's take a look at how to create a new EBS volume from the snapshot. To achieve this goal, you can use the createVolume method of EC2 resource. As soon as EBS volumes belong to only one availability zone, we have to specify it first. In addition to that, we need to provide additional arguments for the createVolume method such as snapshot ID, volume type and optional AWS tags. Finally, let's jump ahead a bit and take a look at how to create an AMI from a snapshot using Boto3. As we've mentioned in the introduction section of this article, Amazon Machine Images, AMIs, are templates of EC2 instances that store information about instance virtualization type and block device mappings of the snapshots to the instances. To create an AMI from the EBS volume snapshot, you need to use the register image method of the EC2 client with the following parameters. The first is the block device mappings, which describes the mapping of snapshots to virtual machine devices. Then root device name argument that defines the root volume device for the AMI. In our example, it is the bootable EC2 instance disk. And finally, the virtualization type argument, which defines the type of virtualization for the EC2 instance. For more information about these arguments, please check out the official Boto3 and AWS documentation. That's all we wanted to cover in this video. If you'd like to get more information about certain operations with EBS snapshots or any other AWS services using Python and Boto3 library, please let us know in the comments section below. Thank you for your attention and stay tuned.